ignore a curfew, and 2 more officers injured as the family of the man killed by police speaks out about what they saw on the video of that shooting.
Then just 3 days now away from the first presidential debate, Donald Trump still out on the trail, and Hillary Clinton MIA.
Where is Hillary today? Well, they say she's been practicing for the debate. Some people think she's sleeping.
We are live in Washington with how both candidates are preparing for their first face-off.
And he made it cool not to stand for the national anthem. And now backup quarterback Colin Kaepernick is a Time cover story. The magazine says he deserves it. But does he? We report, you decide. Fox and Friends First starts right now.
Good morning. Happy Friday to all of you. You're watching Fox and Friends First. I'm Abby Huntsman.
And I'm Heather Childers. Thank you so much for starting your day and wrapping up your week with us. And it wraps up with this Fox News alert, a third night of protest in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Hundreds ignoring a midnight curfew, shutting down a highway and chanting for the release of the footage of the shooting of Keith Scott.
Leland Vittert is live for us in Charlotte, where that curfew is still in effect at this hour. Leland, you've been there all evening. You were also there for us last night. What's the latest?
Ladies, good morning to you. The police basically said that the curfew, they viewed it was a tool, and that is that if things got out of hand, then they were going to start arresting people. They made a deal of sorts with the protesters. If things stayed peaceful, they weren't going to arrest anyone. Both sides kept that bargain, but the police had a lot of backup last night that they did not have when things turned violent a couple of nights ago, and that was heavily armed members of the National Guard, and also they kept buses of riot police staged on various cross streets just in case things turn from the loud, boisterous things that you're seeing now into the looting that we saw a couple of nights ago. Still, a lot of protesters very angry as they were on the streets. 2 police officers were hurt when they were sprayed with something. We don't know whether it was pepper spray or something different than this. We also don't know what the difference in the crowds was, whether steam had simply been let out or people feel like their voices were going to be better heard by not being as violent. The one chant we kept hearing over and over again was "release the tape," and they're referring to the tape that was a dash cam made during the shooting of Keith Scott. And the shooting of Keith Scott on Tuesday is what sparked all of these protests and the riots that ensued from them. Mr. Scott, we have learned, has a rap sheet that goes back more than 20 years, and police say that he had a gun while he was there and during that confrontation. His family has viewed the tape. His family says they don't really see anything in the tape, and police say it is not yet definitive and conclusive video evidence, but they say that if you put everything together, they're positive that Scott had a gun.
You cannot see him making a gesture like pointing the gun, which would be much more definitive, but the officer perceives, based on everything that I've said before, his failure to comply with commands, failure to drop the weapon, and then him turning to face the officers as an imminent threat, and that is what caused everything else to transpire.
And so far, it's unclear when or if that tape might be released to the public or whether that will spark new protests. They say the curfew can stay in effect for as long as they need to ensure that whatever protests there are remain peaceful. Ladies?
Yeah. All right, Leland Vittert, who's been there all night for us. Leland, thank you.
Thank you, Leland. We're also breaking overnight in Tulsa. A female officer switching roles, going to the station out of uniform to turn herself in for the shooting death of an unarmed black man there. The dashcam video showing the father walking towards his SUV with his hands up. A short time later, shot and killed. Patricia Stark joins us now with the breaking details on this story. Good morning, Patricia.
Good morning, Heather and Abby. We are getting our first look at Officer Betty Shelby's mugshot. She was just released after turning herself into authorities overnight. Now, it took prosecutors less than a week to decide that the shooting death of Terrence Crutcher on a Tulsa street was an alleged crime.
I determined that the filing of the felony crime of manslaughter in the first degree against Tulsa police officer Betty Shelby is warranted.
The police video showing Crutcher with his hands in the air, sparking outrage across the country. But unlike Charlotte, protests in Tulsa have been peaceful. While Crutcher's family is satisfied by the district attorney's announcement, it still does not bring him back.
While we are pleased to learn that the officer who senselessly killed my beloved twin brother will face criminal charges for her reckless act, we understand that nothing will bring him back.
Officer Shelby was on her way to a domestic violence call when she saw Crutcher's car in the middle of the road. She told investigators she feared for her life and was forced to fire the fatal shot when she saw Crutcher stick his arm through an open car window. But Crutcher's family attorney points to an enhanced picture of the window in question.
You can see that it is completely up and there is blood going almost to the top of the window.
If Officer Shelby is convicted, she faces between 4 years and life in prison. Heather and Abby.
All right. Still a long way to go on this story.
Yeah, Patricia Stark live for us. We'll check back with you.
Thanks, Patricia. All right, well, this week in Charlotte, we have seen unbelievable destruction, violence, and even murder as the community reacts to the police shooting of a black man. And now the president is speaking out about it, saying the only way that these protesters will see change is if they remain peaceful.
Well, I think it's important to separate out the pervasive sense of frustration among a lot of African Americans about shootings of people and the sense that justice is not always colorblind.
The president also noted that most police protests are peaceful, but that every once in a while, people do it in the wrong way.
Meantime, to the race for the White House for you, and Donald Trump continuing to surge in several key battleground states. A new Quinnipiac poll has Trump beating Clinton in Iowa by 7 points, 44-37. In Virginia, he has narrowed that gap to 6 points, with Clinton at 45 and Trump at 39. She led by 9 points in August. And then in Colorado, Clinton has just a 2-point lead after holding an 8-point lead last month.
Wow, really neck and neck, isn't it? And we are now 46 days away from Election Day and 3 days now from the first presidential debate. Donald Trump crisscrossing the country.
But Hillary Clinton is MIA. Fox News chief national correspondent Ed Henry joins us now live from Washington, D.C. with more on that. Good morning, Ed.
Good morning, ladies. You're right. Hillary Clinton has been off the campaign trail a lot lately. Her staff saying she's prepping for that first big debate coming on Monday evening. And so that left Donald Trump all to himself on the campaign trail yesterday, allowing him to attack Clinton by saying he believes she is helping to feed this narrative that all police officers are racist in the wake of some of these high-profile police-related shootings. He also mocked Clinton for staying off the trail, saying that given her recent slide in the polls as well as her health issues, she's probably just trying to get a little extra shut-eye. Watch.
Where is Hillary today? Well, they say she's been practicing for the debate. Some people think she's sleeping.
I've seen people prepare so much that they get up there and they get locked jaw. They can't speak. You know, you've seen that too, where they lock themselves in a cabin for 3 weeks and they don't want to do anything else. And I don't know. You have to be yourself, and you have to go up, and you just have to do it. So I'm really very much campaigning at the same time I am preparing.
Trump suggesting that he has a head of steam going into this first debate, while the Clinton camp really seems to be doing the opposite, trying to lower expectations. Tim Kaine, the running mate for Hillary Clinton, suggesting to reporters yesterday that she's used to being ganged up upon by either lawmakers at congressional hearings or debate moderators and her opponents. Watch.
I think what you will see from Hillary and what we've often seen from her during a debate or during the hearing, like at the House, they all just want to pounce on her about Benghazi, and so it's going to be hostile hours and hours and hours. I think she tends to really rise to the occasion, and it will be a real contrast in visions.
Now, President Obama weighing in as well, saying that he believes Clinton is honest and trustworthy and that all she has to do at this debate is be herself. Obviously, a lot of polls out there suggesting just the opposite. Ladies?
Yeah, we will see Monday night.
I know. I cannot believe the first debate is here. So exciting.
Momentum. There's so much
Momentum.
excitement building.
Yeah, thank you, Ed.
Good to see you.
Meantime, chaos and confusion at one of the country's busiest airports overnight. An abandoned SUV with doors wide open outside a terminal, prompting a lockdown at New York's LaGuardia Airport. And nothing suspicious was found, and the SUV was towed away. The investigation causing, of course, the delays for passengers. New York on heightened alert after a string of bombings last weekend.
And this morning, horrifying new video showing one of those bomb blasts. You can see people here walking down the street in Manhattan's Chelsea neighborhood when suddenly a flash and they go running for their lives. In the meantime, terror suspect Ahmad Rahami's wife is back in the U.S. She left in June for Pakistan. Well, officials now questioning her. Rahami remains unconscious in the hospital in critical but stable condition.
Well, some brand new details for you overnight about what sparked a workplace shooting that left several people dead. Police in Athens, Tennessee say an enraged factory worker opened fire, killing two of his bosses before turning the gun on himself. Witnesses say right before the shooting, he was visibly upset after a closed-door meeting.
President Obama is expected to veto a bipartisan bill that would allow victims of 9/11 to sue Saudi Arabia for its alleged involvement in planning the attacks. The president has until midnight as the debate rages over if the bill would put Americans in danger overseas. Congress is expected to override President Obama's veto for the first time ever.
Well, the time now is about 10 minutes after the top of the hour. And is the White House working overtime to get illegals to the polls in November? We have a stunning new report for you.
And don't mess with her house. The video is insane. A woman caught on camera shooting back at 3 armed intruders, but her trouble is not over yet.
And Yahoo hacked 500 million people impacted by this. So what you need to know, even if you don't have a Yahoo email account.
But first, a look at the weather across the country today. It's going to be a hot one.
Those peddling the narrative of cops as a racist force in our society share directly in the responsibility for the unrest.
Maybe I can, by speaking directly to white people, say, look, this is not who we are.
3 days from the first debate showdown. How are the candidates stacking up on the big issues like race relations, terrorism, and immigration?
Well, let's ask our political panel. Ron Meyer is the editor of Red Alert Politics, and Evangeline Gomez is a Democratic political strategist. Good morning to both of you. Thanks for being here so early on a Friday. Good to see you. So let's start with race relations. We just played that clip. Obviously, both candidates are wanting to get out in front of this, wanting to own this issue. It will no doubt come up in the debate on Monday night. Who has the better argument here for how to make things better?
Well, I think it's a good question because really Donald Trump has struggled with these demographics in the past, but in the recent few weeks, his polling has gotten better and Hillary Clinton's got worse. Hillary Clinton has some of the worst polling numbers, especially among younger minority voters that we've seen among any Democrats in recent memory. So she has a big problem here because when she talks about these issues, when she tries to associate herself with Black Lives Matter, it doesn't come off as genuine. It comes off as forced. It comes off as fake. And I think the voters are reacting to that. They're reacting to a sense that she is dishonest, that she's not genuine on these issues that really, I think, are impacting people's lives. And we're seeing a big debate on the national stage about this. And I think it matters that she actually can lead on these things if she's going to be president of the United States. It doesn't come off like she's leading.
Evangeline?
I think the support from minorities is there for Hillary Clinton. The issue is going to be during these debates is, for example, when it comes to Charlotte, does she know that the reforms that need to be made have to be made at the department level with police departments? It's not always going to be a black and white issue. We do have statistics that show that blacks and Latinos are subjected to excessive force more than other groups. They're arrested more for minor offenses. Their interactions with police tend to be worse than other groups. But the issue is we have these situations that flare up in Charlotte and in other cities throughout the U.S., but we don't know that in these situations that it's simply a reflection of the information that's out there, or are they unique? And so I think when you talk of it in terms of white and black, you miss the point. I mean, perhaps there are reforms that have to be made at the police department level, and that affects everyone.
Well,
because you have black cops and you have black civilians.
Yeah, exactly. And in this particular incident that happened in Charlotte, it was a black police officer who shot a black suspect, and I'm not sure that she even understood that based on the comments that she just made. Let's move to the other two topics, and we can take a look at some of the statistics right now, some polls that have been done. First of all, let's pull up the immigration poll. Who do you trust on immigration? Clinton, 50%, Trump, 45%. And then when it comes to terrorism, Clinton 47% and Trump 46%. So let's tackle the first one, which is terrorism. And Ron, who do you think has a better argument on that moving into the debate?
Well, what we've seen is that when there are terror attacks, Trump does seem to surge in the polls. And here's really what it comes down to. Hillary Clinton, I think, bungled the reaction to these latest set of attacks, because what she did was she turned and attacked Trump. She called him a, quote, a recruiting sergeant for terrorists. She called Trump a recruiting sergeant for terrorists. That is unhinged. It's unpresidential. It's lowering the standard of debate. Right now, we have a candidate who's basically a race to the bottom. All she's doing is attacking Trump. And I think if she really wants to sort of transcend Trump and say that she's the one who's balanced and ready to lead, she's not going to go and make crazy attacks. Saying this about any American, much less someone who's running for president, is simply not fitting for the office that she's seeking.
People aren't wanting attacks, I don't think, at these debates eventually.
No, they want leaders.
I'll disagree respectfully. I think that she had a very measured response. I mean, when the information came out, we didn't know all the facts, and we still don't know all the facts. And as an attorney, I'm an attorney as well, you have to make sure you don't rush to judgment in these situations, and you don't, stroke any fires, and you just don't sound the alarm. You take it in a very leveled way, and I think she was very sophisticated in her response.
Well, but you're not quoting her. You're not saying anything she said. What she did is she made this unhinged attack on Donald Trump. If Hillary is this balanced, stable person, then why is she making these unfair and frankly disgusting attacks?
Donald Trump is made on Hillary. I mean, there are numerous ones.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see who keeps a level head, speaking of that, during the debate.
And I think
we'll be watching for that. All right, well, we will see. Evangeline, Ron, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, you guys. Have a good morning.
Well, the time now is about 19 minutes, almost 20 after the top of the hour. And some brand new trouble is brewing for the aide who set up Hillary Clinton's email server and then didn't show up when Congress wanted to grill him about it.
And he started the movement of unpatriotic protests against the national anthem. Now, backup quarterback Colin Kaepernick is a Time magazine cover model.
Let us know what you think about that. Welcome back to Fox and Friends. First, another possible scandal for a member of Hillary Clinton's inner circle. A House panel voting to hold a former tech aide in contempt of Congress because of that empty seats that you saw right there. Brian Pagliano has refused to testify twice about his former boss's emails, even though he did speak to the FBI. Oversight Committee Chairman Jason Chaffetz says that Pagliano stiffed the panel even after being served by U.S. Marshals. Pagliano helped set up Clinton's home server. You may remember that. The matter now goes to the full House for a vote.
And now to a Fox Business alert. Yahoo confirming a massive hack, information stolen from 500 million people. Cheryl Casoni from our sister network Fox Business is here with what you need to know to keep your information safe. Cheryl, good morning.
Good morning. Yahoo confirming that state-sponsored hackers broke into its network in late 2014, stealing the personal data of more than 500 million users. Now, Yahoo says it doesn't believe bank account or credit card information had been stolen. If Yahoo indeed did know about the breach since 2014 and didn't tell its customers, that could not only hurt its merger with Verizon, but could spur a congressional investigation. Even if you don't have a Yahoo email account, though, you may need to still change that password. The hack also affecting user services like online shopping and fantasy football. Well, a new service called HelloVote is using text messages to help people register to vote. By using your smartphone, text 384-387 and it will ask for your name, your address, your date of birth, and your driver's license information. You'll receive your form in the mail. 15% of citizens eligible to vote, by the way, are not even registered. Well, airlines raking in $40.5 billion in fees last year for things like, well, bags, onboard meals, and other amenities. A new report also says that buying and selling frequent flyer miles, tours, hotel deals also brought in more fees for the airlines. United, top in the list, bringing in an extra $6.2 billion. And finally, get ready for Halloween and get out your wallet. Americans are expected to spend $8.4 billion this year on things like costumes, total of $3.1 billion, $2.5 billion on candy, and $2.4 billion on decorations. The National Retail Federation found this year's spending will hit a record high. Have a feeling, guys, we're going to see a lot of Trump and Clinton costumes this year.
Yes, they're actually already out.
Yeah, $2.5 billion on candy, though.
It's a lot.
Unbelievable.
It's a lot of candy corn.
Yeah, I love candy corn.
Me too. Well, it's now time to brew on this, and he has sparked national outrage for disrespecting our national anthem, and now Colin Kaepernick is being glorified on the cover of Time magazine.
Yep, Time calls him out. They call him the obvious choice for their cover because his national anthem protest movement has spread so far. Well, the picture of him is him kneeling in uniform. It's captioned "The Perilous Fight."
The magazine says that he earned the cover. So do you think that he did? Send us your comments on Facebook, Twitter, or send us an email to foxfriendsfirst@foxnews.com, and we will share those later in the show.
I have a feeling there'll be some comments about that.
I think one or two, maybe. Well, the time now is almost half past the top of the hour, and Hillary Clinton grilled about her health.
Some doctors have suggested that you take some neurocognitive tests. Would you be willing to do that?
Wait until you hear her response.
And then real-life Hollywood drama for Brad Pitt. Why the FBI is now involved in his split from Angelina Jolie. Stick with us. It is Friday, September 23rd. This is a Fox News alert. Another night of protests in Charlotte. Hundreds ignore a curfew, and 2 more officers are injured as the family of the man killed by cops speaks out about what they saw on the video of that shooting.
And then is the Obama administration trying to influence the election? The bombshell new report on how it is working overtime to get illegals to the polls in November.
And don't mess with her house. This video is insane. A woman caught on camera shooting back at 3 armed intruders. You don't want to miss this. Fox and Friends First continues right now.
Good morning to you. You made it to Friday. Welcome to Fox and Friends First. I'm Heather Childers.
Good morning. Happy Friday. I'm Abby Huntsman. It is currently 31 after the hour. We do want to get right to that Fox News alert. And the third night of protests in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Hundreds ignoring a midnight curfew, shutting down a highway, and chanting for the release of the footage of the shooting of Keith Scott.
Leland Vittert is live for us in Charlotte, where that curfew is about to be lifted early this morning. Leland, what are you hearing? What is the latest?
Ladies, good morning to you. The police and protesters basically had a deal. If things stayed peaceful, the police said they could stay out past midnight, and mostly that deal was kept. Take a look at the video, though, of what the protesters were encountering, who the police had backing them up, that being the North Carolina National Guard, or also North Carolina State Troopers out in force, riot police as well, in case things got out of hand. The crowd was boisterous. They marched a lot. They chanted a lot. 2 police officers were sprayed with some type of pepper spray or something like that. It doesn't sound like they were seriously hurt. One of the chants we kept hearing over and over again was "release the tape," referring to the tape of Keith Scott's shooting by police. There was dash cam video that his family viewed, and they said that they found the video inconclusive. They couldn't figure out what, if anything, he had in his hand. The police say, based on witness accounts and their own photographs, they're confident he had a gun.
What I can tell you is the video is, as I said before, not the most definitive piece of evidence we would have hoped for. As I said, you can't really see what's in his hands, and as I said before, you cannot see him making a gesture like pointing the gun, which would be much more definitive.
Three big challenges facing this city going forward. One, what happens when that tape is released? Are there more protests? Two, the economic implications. Clearly, the video over the past couple of days is not exactly a Chamber of Commerce ad. And three, the political implications. It has certainly brought racial tensions all the way at times to their breaking point, now less than 50 days from election in a critical swing state. Ladies.
Yeah, this will no doubt be a big topic on Monday night debates.
Yeah, and from what I understand, they did find a gun, and they did find that he had on an ankle holster. And in terms of that criminal record, it spans 3 states and includes, what, assault with a deadly weapon? What do we know about that, Leland?
Exactly. It's a long criminal history going about 20 years.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Leland. And that does bring us to Look Who's Talking this morning. Former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani blasting Black Lives Matter, wondering why black cops' lives don't matter to them.
Does the life of the black police officer matter? Yes. Well, shouldn't there be, in that case, since we have a black police officer who they claim was in jeopardy of losing his life and a black man who did lose his life, shouldn't we kind of step back and figure out who was right and who was wrong? I mean, this is not a racial situation now. We're talking about a black police officer that shot a black man that says that he was pointing a gun or had a gun in his hand. So now we have 2 lives at stake, both of which were black. So if black lives matter, both of those lives matter.
Well, from Charlotte, breaking overnight in Tulsa, a female officer there switching roles, going to the station out of uniform to turn herself in for the shooting death of an unarmed black man. The dash cam video showing the father walking towards his SUV with his hands up, and then a short time later shot and killed. Patricia Stark joins us with those breaking details this morning. Good morning, Patricia.
Good morning, Heather and Abby. Yep, we got that first look at Officer Betty Shelby's mugshot. She was just released after turning herself into authorities overnight. It took prosecutors less than a week to decide that the shooting death of Terrence Crutcher on a Tulsa street was an alleged crime.
I determined that the filing of the felony crime of manslaughter in the first degree against Tulsa police officer Betty Shelby is warranted.
The police video showing Crutcher with his hands in the air, sparking outrage across the country. But unlike Charlotte, protests in Tulsa have been peaceful. While Crutcher's family is satisfied by the district attorney's announcement, it still does not bring him back.
While we are pleased to learn that the officer who senselessly killed my beloved twin brother will face criminal charges for her reckless act, we understand that nothing will bring him back.
Officer Shelby was on her way to a domestic violence call when she saw Crutcher's car in the middle of the road. She told investigators that she feared for her life and was forced to fire the fatal shot when she saw Crutcher stick his arm through an open car window. But Crutcher's family attorney points to an enhanced picture of the window in question.
You can see that it is completely up and there is blood going almost to the top of the window.
If Officer Shelby is convicted, she faces between 4 years and life in prison. Heather and Abby.
A long way to go in this story as well. Patricia, thank you.
Thank you.
Now to the race for the White House. 46 days away from Election Day and 3 days now from the first presidential debate. Donald Trump remains hot on the campaign trail, but Hillary Clinton is MIA. Fox News chief national correspondent Ed Henry is live from Washington, D.C. this morning with more. Ed, good to see you.
Good to see you, Abby. Bottom line is, as you say, Donald Trump having the campaign trail all to himself as Hillary Clinton has been huddled behind closed doors with aides and binders trying to prepare for that big first debate on Monday. Monday night. Trump mocking Clinton, attacking her, saying that she has been feeding this narrative that all police officers, in his words, are racist because of these police-related shootings across the country. Trump also suggesting Clinton is simply getting more sleep because of her recent health problems. And then he told our own Lou Dobbs from Fox Business that he's going to be ready on Monday night because he's not over-preparing. Watch.
I've seen people prepare so much that they get up there and they get locked to, or they can't speak. You've seen that too, where they lock themselves in a cabin for 3 weeks and they don't want to do anything else. And I don't know. You have to be yourself, and you have to go up and you just have to do it. So I'm really very much campaigning at the same time I am preparing.
Now, President Obama has been out campaigning for Hillary Clinton and, of course, faced off with her in many, many primary debates back in 2008. And it's interesting, he basically had the same advice for Clinton that you just heard from Donald Trump. Watch.
Be yourself and explain what motivates you. Because I will tell you, I've gotten to know Hillary and seen her work and seen her in tough times and in good times. There's a level of mistrust and a caricature of her that just doesn't jibe with who I know.
So you hear the president saying he trusts her and he thinks it's a caricature, that she's not honest and trustworthy. But we've seen poll after poll suggesting just the opposite, which is why Clinton has a lot to prove on Monday night, ladies.
Yeah. Just be yourself. We'll see how that goes for both of them.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you, Ed.
Take care.
Meantime, speaking of being herself, Hillary Clinton's health is back in the focus this morning after this exchange with a local ABC News reporter.
Some doctors have said, because of your age, as well as your opponent's age, that you could be at higher risk for dementia or even Alzheimer's, and have suggested that you take some neurocognitive tests. Would you be willing to do that?
You know, I am very sorry I got pneumonia. I'm very glad that antibiotics took care of it, and that's behind us now.
And the expression on her face while she was being asked that question says a lot. Clinton laughing off the reporter's question about taking brain scans to test her mental health. After a rally in Orlando, Clinton says that she's already met the standards that every other person running for president has ever had to meet. And meantime, there's a bombshell email showing that the Obama administration literally was working overtime to swear in immigrants hoping to impact the election. The email rushing the citizenship process, saying, quote, the field office due to the election year needs to process as many of their N-400 cases as possible between now and FY 2016. If you have cases in this category or others pending, you are encouraged to take advantage of the OT, of course being overtime, if you can. This after more than 800 potentially dangerous immigrants were accidentally granted citizenship.
Chaos and confusion at one of the country's busiest airports overnight. An abandoned SUV with doors wide open outside a terminal prompting a lockdown at New York's LaGuardia Airport. The National Guard refusing to let anyone in or out. Nothing suspicious was found in the SUV, which was then towed away. The investigation causing delays, as you can imagine, for passengers. Well, New York already on high alert after a bomb exploded over the weekend, leaving dozens injured.
And speaking of those bombs, this morning some horrifying new video showing that bomb blast. You can see people walking down the street in Manhattan's Chelsea neighborhood when suddenly a flash, and then they go running for their lives. Meantime, terror suspect Ahmad Rahami, his wife, is back in the U.S. She left in June for Pakistan. Officials are now questioning her. Rahami remains unconscious in the hospital, but they say he is in critical but stable condition.
So is Brad Pitt an abusive father? Well, the FBI now investigating the actor for an alleged fight that he had on a private jet with his 15-year-old son, Maddox. A source says the argument is what led Angelina Jolie to file for divorce just days later. Witnesses say that Pitt was drunk and out of control when he started screaming at his kids on the flight home from France. Someone on that plane called Child Protective Services. I have a feeling this may just be the beginning of this one.
It may not be pretty. And the time now is about 15 minutes till the top of the hour. And do you remember when Hillary Clinton said this?
We came out of the White House not only dead broke, but in debt.
This morning, there is $1 million worth of evidence that that's not true.
And supermodel Gigi Hadid proves she is more than just a pretty face. Look how she fights back when someone grabs her outside of a fashion show.
Good for her.
Love it.
Welcome back to Fox and Friends First. Here's a solution to Chicago's crime problem, one we've never heard before. Mentors. Well, the city's mayor, Rahm Emanuel, proposing them as part of his crime-fighting plan. He says that funding mentorship programs in the 20 most violent neighborhoods is crucial. Emanuel also wants to add police and crime-fighting technology. Have a feeling that's been tried before.
Well, Hillary Clinton sitting down with comedian Zach Galifianakis for his web show Between Two Ferns. You've got to see this.
I'd love to meet the person who makes your pantsuits.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because for Halloween I wanted to go as a librarian from outer space.
I think that would be a good look on you.
This has been a lot of fun, Mrs. Clinton. We should stay in touch. What's the best way to reach you? Email?
I can't get enough of this.
Well, according to her campaign, it was filmed on September 9th, and that is the same day that she was diagnosed with pneumonia.
Trump has not made an appearance on that show, and looks like he won't be doing it anytime soon. The director says he's too, quote, thin-skinned for it, although I would love to see Trump there.
So they're saying she had pneumonia because her reactions weren't that that good.
Okay. If you haven't watched it, watch the whole clip.
Yeah.
All right, remember this claim by Hillary Clinton about being broke?
We came out of the White House not only dead broke, but in debt.
Well, guess the Democratic nominee isn't dead broke anymore. The Clintons shelling out nearly $1.2 million for their latest home, and this one is next door to their home in Chappaqua, New York, making it their third home. Rumor has it it'll be a weekend getaway for daughter Chelsea's family. It's beautiful, though.
Well, still ahead, illegal immigrants suing a college for denying them admission because they're illegal. Wait until you hear how they're explaining this.
But first, let's check in with Brian Kilmeade to see what's coming up on Fox and Friends. And Brian, you know, we really do everything with our smartphones these days, and now they're using it to help find terrorists. You guys are doing something on this, right?
Remember, we were on the set when we were trying to find the 28-year-old we eventually captured, and everyone got hit at the same time with this FBI alert. Now they want to make this more pervasive. They want to put pictures on it. Guess who's pushing back? The telecom, saying we don't have the bandwidth for that. What about it? Others are saying, I'm disabling it. I don't want to hear alerts during my day. I guess I'm actually watching some reality show. What do you think? Kurt the Cyber Guy is going to be here. Plus, we have the latest on the riots in Charlotte and the reaction in Tulsa, as well as this thing called the debates coming up on Monday. And, of course, we'll be there at Hofstra as well as Tuesday. So don't miss a minute. I know you guys, if you want to come into the studio, we have a seat for you right there.
I love it. You certainly have a lot going on.
Yeah, I'll take you up on it. See you soon, Brian.
Thank you. And we'll be right back on Fox and Friends First. Stay with us.
Less than 10 minutes now to the top of the hour. So they came for cash, but they sure met their match. Dramatic surveillance video showing a woman in Georgia stopping 3 armed home invaders in their tracks. You can see her confronting the suspects with her own handgun, exchanging fire as she chases them out of the house.
I got the hurt. They got the gun. Oh, they kicked the door coming in. They kicked the door.
Wow, good for her. Well, one of the suspects later died. The other 2 robbers still on the run.
Well, a landlord and Christian minister who pushed a Muslim tenant down the stairs must learn about Islam as part of her punishment. A court in Massachusetts sentencing the landlord to 6 months in prison and to attend a class on Islam. The woman appealed, saying that it violates her constitutional right to free exercise of religion, but the top court denied her request. You know, they're not even supposed to be in the country to begin with, but now they're demanding an education. 3 illegal immigrants are suing Georgia's university system for not accepting them because they're illegal.
Well, they say it violates a government program that protects them from deportation so they can study and work in the country legally. But Georgia's policy prevents people who are, quote, not lawfully present from attending state schools.
Well, the time now is about 8 minutes, specifically till the top of the hour. And after sitting out the national anthem, Colin Kaepernick is Time Magazine's new cover model. The magazine saying that he earned it, but has he? Your email's up next.
And supermodel Gigi Hadid proves she's more than just a pretty face. Look how she fights back. We love this video when someone grabs her outside of a fashion show.
He is tough.
Good for her.
About 3 minutes until the top of the hour. Before we leave the house, here's what's happening for you today. In just a few minutes, the city of Charlotte, North Carolina will lift its mandatory curfew at 6 a.m. Eastern. Last night, protesters took to the streets for a third night in a row after police shot and killed a man that they say pointed a gun at them. And Donald Trump staying hot on the campaign trail while preparing for the first presidential debate in just 3 days. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton missing in action while allegedly prepping to face Trump. Let's keep talking about the debate. Who will perform better? Weigh in on our Facebook page right now. Use that hashtag, keep talking. And Yahoo confirming a massive hack. Personal information stolen from 500 million people. People are affected now and they will be notified and asked to change their passwords.
Time now for the good, the bad, and the ugly. First of the good, a black activist giving out free hugs to cops in Charlotte. The member of the Free Hugs Project says he's trying to broker peace in the community by resolving tensions with love rather than hate. Well, the officers happily embracing his offer. I love that. Next, the bad, a mayor's first go flying after getting a pie in the face. Sacramento Mayor Kevin Johnson was at a charity event when the activists attacked. Johnson reportedly tackling the man and punching him repeatedly, leaving him black and blue. The protesters saying Johnson only cared about building a new arena for the Sacramento Kings and not about his constituents. And now the ugly supermodel Gigi Hadid fights off an attacker. Watch. Hadid throwing